really believe that. I don't know whether you know this or not. I don't know whether you are cognizant of this or not. But ladies and gentlemen, God is doing something in the state of Montana that is unique. Now let me tell you, one of the things, if I learned any lesson at all, and I could stand up here for 3 hours and tell you about some of the things that I experienced, and the people and the places and the events and all the stuff that I was exposed to during the campaign last year. But there's one thing that I can tell you of a certainty. The brother just talked about hope a minute ago. There is no hope in Washington, D.C.
Amen.
None. Zero. Zilch. Forget it. That city is so corrupt. It is a cesspool. It is unsalvageable. It's unsavable. There is no hope in Washington, D.C. Well, we just got to elect Republicans. Republicans controlled the entire government from 2001 till 2006. They had 6 years, the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the White House under their authority, and it includes the court. The Supreme Court has been controlled by the Republican Party since 1973 when Roe v. Wade was passed. If the Republicans were serious about wanting to eliminate abortion on demand and saving the lives of innocent unborn children, they could have done it years ago. Well, vote for us, we're pro-life. Vote for us, we're going to do something about Roe v. Wade. Vote for us, we're against abortion. And they come to our churches and they come to our pro-life communities and they tell us this message. And they've been telling us this since 1973. And every 2 years and every 4 years, all the Christians and all the pro-life good people out there, they believe them and they go vote for Republicans and they put Republicans in office, and the Republicans control the entire federal government for 6 long years. How many unborn babies' lives were saved in 6 years of Republican leadership? Not one. Not one. Tell it to all the babies who have been slaughtered in their mother's wombs illegally how important it is to elect a Republican. It didn't do them any good that George Bush was president. It didn't do them any good that the Republicans held the Congress and the Senate. They died at the hands of a bloodthirsty abortionist doctor greedy for corrupt gain. If the Republicans were serious about doing something to eliminate abortion on demand, they could have done it. Every year in the House of Representatives, one congressman would introduce a Sanctity of Life Act. The Sanctity of Life Act would do 2 things. Number one, it would, under the Constitution, Article 3, Section 2, it would eliminate the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on the matter of abortion. Meaning, with one stroke of the pen, Roe v. Wade would be overturned. Number 2, it would declare the personhood of the unborn child. The reason that unborn children are killed today is because they're not deemed people under the law of our country. Who was that lone congressman that would introduce the Sanctity of Life Act? And every year it would sit in the document room in Capitol Hill, and almost nobody would co-sponsor it. Where was the Republican leader in the House? Where was the Republican leader in the Senate? Where was pro-life President George W. Bush to get up and say, we've got to pass the Sanctity of Life Act. We mean to do something about abortion on demand. They did nothing. They said nothing. Who was that one congressman? Ron Paul. Ron Paul. Where was Mr. McCain to introduce Ron Paul's Sanctity of Life Act in the Senate? Nowhere to be found. AWOL on the subject. They could have done something about abortion anytime they wanted to do it, but instead they would rather use the subject of abortion as a political football in order to go out across America and dupe conservative and pro-life people, convincing them to vote for them, while at the same time, after obtaining office, no intention was ever in their heart to actually do anything about overturning Roe versus Wade. There is a word for that, my friends, and it's called deception. We have been deceived over and over by these two parties in Washington, D.C. And it's time that the American people understood that they're being lied to by both the Democrats and the Republicans in Washington, D.C. That it doesn't matter. It hasn't changed anything. It hasn't changed the course of the country. No matter who's elected in Washington, the beat goes on. The beat toward globalism, the beat toward one-worldism, the beat toward internationalism, the beat toward socialism. How in the world can the Republicans get up in Capitol Hill now and honestly, with a straight face, oppose the Barack Obama version of socialism? For 6 years, they exploded socialism on Capitol Hill. For 6 years, they exploded spending. They exploded the power and scope of the federal government. Where were these great believers in limited government when it was a Republican president and a Republican Congress that gave us the USA Draconian Patriot Act that violates the Fourth Amendment, that violates the Fifth Amendment, that violates many other of the great liberties of our country that our country is founded upon? Where were these great believers in limited government? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to show you that it just doesn't matter. In the last many years, whoever gets elected at the national level, at Washington, D.C., the socialist, fascist, globalist beat continues to march forward. And speaking of, what does it really matter? Is it a Republican or a Democrat? Let me tell you what matters. What matters is not whether they are a Democrat or an American. What matters is, are they an American or are they a globalist? Think about it. Think about it. What's going on with this push toward this global economy? You've got Geithner, and you've got the Fed, and you've got China and Russia all collaborating together, and they're saying the same thing. They're saying we've got to ditch the dollar, we've got to ditch the American currency, and we've all got to accept the reality that we must come under the umbrella of a global currency.